My fellow Americans, let's talk about the new president-elect. Trump won. So, if you were pro-Trump, oh well. I guess that insurrection we was planning on to take over the government, I guess we're not doing that no more. Since Trump won and the Senate is getting took over by Republicans, the House looks like it's going to get took over by Republicans. Trump's got he's going to have over 300 electoral votes, y'all, when it's all said and done. We have over half the governors are red state. So the red wave showed up, y'all. The red wave. And it didn't have to be a bloodbath red wave. So, yeah. Now, so Trump won. Now, he's going to put RFK in charge of the health department. Elon Musk is probably going to be in charge of the Space Force, NASA, and maybe, who knows? Put him in charge of something. Look, whatever Elon Musk wants to be put in charge of, Trump will probably put him in charge of. Donated a lot of money to the Trump campaign. RFK wants to be in charge of our health. That's a good thing. The Democrats are trying to figure out what they did wrong. Well, what they did wrong was practically everything they've done has been done wrong. They let the economy go terrible. They didn't get people working. They opened up the borders. They cared about every single foreign country in the world except America. They cared about everybody but Americans. That's what y'all did wrong. Opening up borders, funding wars. That's what you did wrong. So history's been made, and I called it. I said that Trump's going to pull a Grover Cleveland. What'd he do? He pulled a Grover Cleveland. So now the Democrats can't be like, we were the first ones, whoever did it. Well, I'd say, we got Trump. The Democrats thought they was going to be the first ones to have a black person. Then they thought they was going to be when the Republicans were the ones who gave the black people the right to vote and freedom from the slaves, free and stuff. Abolitionists. They thought they were going to have the first female. They tried it. Trump's already beat one female once. Why y'all try this? Too many people were watching to make sure that it wasn't going to be rigged like it the last time. Like it was the last time. So this is Trump done to beat y'all three triple times in a row. Trump's done beat y'all 3 times in a row, y'all. Make America great again. Why would y'all be against making America great again? That's what's wrong with you Democrats. You were against making America great again. You want to make the world. You're too liberal. You're too left. You're too anti-God, which is makes you. And you're too anti-American. You're pro-globalism. If that's what the Democrat Party's platform is all about, you're communist, socialist. So that's what's wrong with y'all. So Trump's got a lot of stuff to do, and the Republicans got a lot of stuff to do, and we need to, Republicans need to stay united. And if the Democrats want to get anywhere, they're going to have to, they're going to have to deal and negotiate and work with the Republicans. So, Trump won. Let's have some fun. Anyway, that civil war that was going to happen, probably ain't gonna have it no more. Unless the Democrats go crazy and start rioting and looting and stuff like they did during the Summer of Love. Summer of Love. Summer of Love. Which they haven't started that yet. Surprised. Maybe they're gonna wait until J6 and do their own J6 thing. Anyways, so Trump won. It's awesome. Everybody thought the third party situation was going to have anything to do with it. I guess the American public has decided that the third parties there's just too many of y'all to pick from. Maybe y'all should all create one third party, the one independent party. All the third parties need to get together and create one independent party. Stop having like 20 different third parties, y'all. Seriously, third parties, get on the ball. Create the Independent Party of America for all third parties. Then all the third parties unite under one banner, the Independent Party of America. Because not a single one of y'all got like what? Less than 1%. Even RFK, who was still on the ballot in places, got like less than 1%. Y'all third party candidates all got less than 1% of the popular vote. The Libertarian Party managed to get on their candidate on all 50 states. 3 of them you had to write his name in, but still, all 50 states, and you still couldn't win one. I think the people have decided. You suck. They don't want third parties. Even though they exist. Probably because there are too many of them to decide from. And you're too diverse in your thinkings. You got third parties that are far right wing, constitutional. You got middle ground third parties that are libertarians. You got far left wing, communist, socialist party third parties. Come on! Anyway. So, Trump won. Okay, so there's only one way. There's only one way that Kamala can become president. And this is what I would do if I was Kamala. If I was the vice president of the United States of America. And the president, and I ran for president because the president didn't want to run for president. Or maybe because the president then had 2 terms and now is vice president, the current vice president of the United States. I'm running against somebody who is wanting to get the president's job, and I'm wanting to get a promotion, basically, from the people. And the people decided that I lost, right? I be calling my boss up on the phone. I be saying, boss, you gotta resign so I can at least be president for like a month or 2 or so, you know? So the only way that Camilo can become president now is if she invokes the 24th Amendment. 24th, 23rd. Anyway, you know the one. Either Joe Biden has to resign or they have to declare him incompetent. But they should have already declared him incompetent because, you know, if he was incompetent to run for office, how was he not incompetent enough to run? How was he not incompetent enough to run the country? That's my question. Now, New York is going to they have a decision to make. They can decide to put the president, the sitting president, or the president elect in the jail house. They can do that. Or the governor of New York can have some brains and reach across the aisle. I know he's a Democrat. I know it's kind of upset that they didn't win or anything. You know, he can reach across the aisle and give President Trump a pardon for the crime. So that's the decision. Any federal cases against the president can be dropped automatically anyway because of, well, the pardoning power. Theoretically, the president has the right to pardon anyone, right? For any crime, which would include himself, technically. Right? Okay, so, boom. All he has to do is pardon himself. Or he can just keep it in the appeals court while president. So, now, what happens if New York does decide to put the president of the United States in jail? Well, we have to again invoke the 25th, 24th, that amendment. You know, the one where the president is put in jail. And the vice president, while the president is in jail, serving his time, has to assume the role of the president of the United States of America. So, J.D. Vance, you might be the president. I mean, you just might have the job. Also, with all these assassination attempts against Trump, if one of them succeeds, I mean, they tried to kill him before he could run for president. I mean, before he could win the presidency. Now he's won the presidency. He has to wait until January something to declare the oath of office, right? Okay, so he has to wait until January to declare the oath of office, right? So if they sentence him to go to jail before then we have to make Pence president. Not Pence. Pence was the last. I mean, Vance. We have to make Vance president, at least until the term. I think a year, or I don't know how long they're going to sentence him for, a year or something. So then he can come out. Matter of fact, technically, Vance could be president for up to 2 years, even because of the way the Constitution is written. The vice president can be president up to 2 years, plus run for president and win 2 terms, because you can technically be president up to 10 years, but you can only win 2 terms, be elected 2 terms. So, yeah, there's that. So, by sentencing him, though, you're denying President Trump 1 to 2 years of being the president of the United States of America, and because you're putting him in jail, and then as soon as he gets out, he becomes president. Now, in the case of Kamala or Vance having to become president, they will essentially become the 47th president. And then Trump would become the 48th president. Or the possibility of Kamala could become the 47th president of the United States if Joe Biden would resign. Then they could sentence President-elect Donald Trump to jail and put him in jail before he gets to take the oath of office, thus making it where the person who has to take the oath of office would be Vice President-elect J.D. Vance. So Kamala has to give over after a month. She has to resign the post over to J.D. Vance, making him the 48th president of the United States. Then, after Trump gets out of jail in 1-2 years, whatever, he assumes the position of the presidency back, and he then becomes the 49th president of the United States of America. And then, after the can serve the additional the last 2 years of the term. And then Trump could, somewhere during that time, they could give Trump the ability to run for a third term because of being denied the right to be president for 2 years. And then in his third term, if he wins his third term, and he keeps Vance as vice president. So Vance becomes president, and in 2 years he becomes vice president, and then Trump has to win a third term because they changed the Constitution to allow Trump to get his additional 2 years. Or Trump is supposed to get a 4-year term, right? So he doesn't get his 4-year term if he's in jail 2 years. So they have to give him a 4-year term as soon as he gets out of jail. So he doesn't necessarily win a third term, but he gets to still serve 4 years. Right? Which means we won't have an election in 4 years. We'll have an election in 6 years. So we won't have an election in 2028 because they'll have to give Trump his other 2 years because he was in jail for 2 years. Yeah. And then he gets his. So so that way he still gets his 40 years. And if they just let him win a third term, he would get his total of 10 years like he's supposed to be able to get, right? So if we just automatically give it to him for 2028, because of the extra 2 years he gets, and then we have to have a third term, he could just completely serve his whole 4 extra years. Because why are they just going? They mess up the election system by moving it up 2 years. So why would we want to do that? We're just going to keep the election cycle the same way and whatnot. And with a House and Senate and governors and everything being all red, they might be able to. They might create some loophole laws or whatever to allow that. Now, so that would then let Trump come back, like I said, he'd come back as 49th president. Yeah. Or, of course, someone can assassinate him. That's going to make Vance someone could assassinate him before he becomes swears in the oath, and that would make Vance become the president. Or he could become president and then someone assassinates him, and that would make Vance become the president. So Vance might have the job. He could have the job if New York puts President Trump in jail, and he could have the job if someone assassinates President Trump during his term while he's president. Not that we would want that to happen, but they already tried 3 or more times while he was running. So you think they're going to quit now that he's in before he gets to office, or while he's in office? So, um, yeah. So there's only one. So the least likely outcome that could happen is this one. Kamala forces Joe Biden to resign, thus becomes the 47th president of the United States until oath of office swearing in day. New York sentences Trump to go to jail before he's allowed to swear on the Bible to support and defend the Constitution, become president. Thus, Vance becomes the 48th president of the United States until Trump gets out of jail, and then Trump comes out of jail as the 49th president of the United States. That's probably the least likely but possible outcome that could happen. The other outcome is she resigns peacefully and concedes peacefully, and Trump does become the 47th president of the United States up until, serving a 4-whole-year term. Sound good? Anyway, so local elections here in Memphis, Tennessee, Shelby County area. People keep going with Cohen, Steve Cohen. Come on. He's a career politician that has literally done nothing for our city. And you keep voting for him. Now, I admit, Charlotte Bergman is too nice. And she's a woman and she's black. And that could be factors of why the black men and black women and other people and white Democrats are not voting for her. So that's a possible factor. I think we got to keep in Tennessee. We got to keep our Republican senator. I'm pretty sure we got to keep her, even though I think that was a pretty tight, wet race. Gillespie won, so that's good. We got some mayor changes in various different cities around town because there was like literally no incumbent and there was a Republican and Democrats running. So we got some Democrat wins and some Republican wins in the various different mayors races around the various different cities around and in Shelby County. So that was interesting. Yeah. So yeah. So that's some interesting stuff going on. Oh, and all those silly ballots measures passed. I think all of them passed with a yes. So, the unconstitutional ordinance of the city of Memphis for the gun control stuff is going to be in effect. Unfortunately, it won't work because it only applies for the city of Memphis, and it's going to be pretty hard to enforce. And the Shelby County Sheriff's deputies are not going to enforce them because, one, it's unconstitutional, and two, they're supposed to support the Constitution. So the only people that will be able to enforce these gun control-ish laws will be Memphis City Police, and we don't have enough Memphis City Police as it is already to enforce the laws that we got on the books, let alone enforce more laws, red flag laws, and gun control laws, and etc. Yeah, so what's going to happen is they're going to arrest the wrong particular individual, and that particular individual is going to fight it in court and probably win, and the judge is going to declare, because even if they lose in the Memphis courts, they can appeal Memphis courts to state courts, right? And we already have in the state of Tennessee signed by the governor of the state of Tennessee, a Republican. Um, Open carry is basically the law of the state. And basically, what's happening is the city is actually trying to override the state. And while I am a small government guy, and I do think that the cities should be able to override certain things. The problem is, I don't think the city should be able to override the state, and I don't think the state should be override the federal government. Because the way the Constitution is written, it says that these are the powers granted to the federal government. And then it says the rest powers are granted to the states. And then it says the additional powers are granted to the people themselves. Or, excuse me, or the municipalities, the cities, or the people. So the way it's designed is if the federal government's not allowed to do it, and the state government hasn't declared that it could do it, then the city government can make a rule against it. It's not designed where the law is here, the federal government makes the law, and then the state can say, no, we're not doing it. It's not designed where the lowest can say, no, we're not doing what this top one said. It's designed where there's a level. So you got the federal government, then state government, then local government, and then the individual. So that's how the Constitution is written. So the states can decide. Matter of fact, the federal government's gotten too powerful that it's starting to decide what states can and cannot decide, which wasn't intended in the Constitution. The Constitution had certain things that the federal government is allowed to do via the Senate and Congress. Everything else was delegated to the states. And then if the states, then each state has their own state constitution. And in those state constitutions, they're supposed to be strictly adherent to those state constitutions. They're supposed to do what's in the state constitution. And then cities have charters. Municipalities have charters. Counties have a county charter or a county constitution or whatever. The counties and the cities are supposed to excuse me, follow and obey what's in the charters or the constitution of the city, municipality, or the constitution of the county. That is how they're supposed to work. So, and anything that's not given, okay, so if the federal government doesn't have the right to do it according to the Constitution, the state government doesn't have the right to do it because of the Constitution, and the city government and county government doesn't have the right to do it because of their Constitution, then the individual has the freedom to decide for themselves about that. But if the state tries to do something that the federal government says is in the federal government's authority, constitutionally speaking, then it's wrong for the state. And if the city or county tries to do something that is in the state's constitutional ability to do, then it's wrong for the city or the county. Plus, ordinances are not laws. Ordinances are ordinances. So the ordinance of Memphis right now, and we've had it for a long time, but people don't follow it, is the fireworks ordinance. So I believe these gun ordinances are going to work as well as the fireworks ordinances. And again, like I said, what's going to happen is you're going to arrest the wrong person. That wrong person is going to take it to the Tennessee Supreme Court if he has to. The appellate courts. The Tennessee Supreme Court is going to declare that the ordinances that were just passed, even though they were passed by the people, were unconstitutional ordinances and thus couldn't be been passed by the people, and thus the ordinances are going to be null and void. So they shouldn't even put them on the ballot in the first place because they're unconstitutional to begin with. They're unconstitutional via the state constitution, and they're unconstitutional via the federal constitution of the United States, the United States of America's Constitution, and the state of Tennessee's Constitution. So unconstitutional laws can't be enforced. So don't worry about it. And if you just want to try to follow the rules, even though criminals don't follow gun control rules, get a permit. Because that's really all you have to do is get a permit. And the other thing, if you can't get a permit, or you don't want a permit, well, the Shelby County Sheriff's Department, they have this thing called voluntary deputies, and I'm pretty sure that you could become a voluntary deputy, and then you have a badge, and if you have a permit or a badge, basically, according to the laws that are written, those ordinances don't apply to you, so make sure you have a permit or a badge, and you're safe. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the local elections, the statewide elections, Senate, the Congress, House of Representatives, Congress, the presidency. Excuse me. And all that. So, Trump won. I'm calling the two states that they're still counting for Trump, and he's going to have over 300 electoral votes before it's over with. Well, Camilla is down so low. She's down so low. She needed like 50 more votes just to get to 270. That's how bad she is. Okay? There's no way she can win. She done. So that's cool. Trump. 300 plus electoral votes for Trump. Senate is going to be over 52. It's 52 right now. It's probably going to end up like 54, maybe. 54 to 40, 54 to 40. It's going to like 46, be something like that with the Senate. The House of Representatives in Congress I'm pretty sure the Republicans are going to get the majority. But they're probably only going to get the majority by like 1 or 2. It's really close. They might sweep it. That's a possibility. It is a possibility they could sweep it. Depends on some certain states. The states that went red, that they're still projecting, it went red to Trump. More than likely, they're going to also, keep the. They're going to go red for their house. The House and the Senate's probably going to stay red. It just depends on the people, because it looks like some people were, they're voting Trump Republican, but they're voting Democrat for their Congress people or whatever. So there's a kind of an issue there. Or they were voting Camilla for president and Republican for the congressperson. Excuse me. Yeah. So there's that going on. And stuff like that. Yeah. So I think that we're going to have Republican majority in everything. Like the governors, Congress, both houses, Senate, House of Representatives, Yeah, it's going to be like Republican majorities everywhere. Yeah. So if you're a Republican, you're over here going, "Yay!" If you're a Democrat, you're over here going, "Wah!" So if y'all are liberals, please fill up our cups so that we can drink your tears. Anyway, remember, God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. Keep on gaming. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Jesus loves you. Jesus God. Jesus Lord. Jesus King. Jesus ruler. Everything. Um, like, comment, subscribe, share. Comment down below any thoughts you have. Um, and or whatnot about what I said or anything I said. And the beginning of the video was joking, y'all, okay? If you didn't understand that the beginning of the video was a joke, you don't get jokes. You know, the idea that there was going to be a civil war and that we had to, that we're not going to have to do our insurrection that we said the insurrection we were planning on to take over the government has to be postponed because we got Republicans everywhere and everything. Yeah, if y'all didn't understand that that was a joke, I'm at the very end of this video, I'm telling you that was a joke, okay? That's why you need to actually listen and watch the whole entire video on everything. That's why clips don't count. That's why edited clips also don't count. That's why you need to, that's why to have the truth in media broadcasting, there should be a law passed where every single thing that is said or done or whatever has to be filmed, recorded, and shown without any editing whatsoever. The only way we should have editing is if you're taking something and showing what's said and then giving your comment about what was said. So, like you take a quote, like a clip of a quote, and then you say, my thoughts on this quote are. Then what you're doing is you're giving an opinion, you're doing an op-ed opinion piece of journalism for the clip that was said. But if you do take a clip and then say it, you should give links to the full article and or full clip, the full segment or whatever, so that you wouldn't be taking the clip out of context to make it sound in a negative way. So you can be against what someone said or what someone's done or whatever, but you shouldn't be allowed to take out of context what a person actually says, does, or said or did on the camera. Yeah. Anyway, have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed this 40-minute long video. And I really hope y'all actually start listening and watching the whole entire videos. But apparently people have short attention spans, and I don't know what's wrong with them. They just have short attention spans, I guess, because they don't watch the whole entire videos, I guess, when they're long. I'm not sure why. Anyway, bye. Later. Have a great, wonderful, amazing, awesome, super great day. And let's stick with Trump and have Trump's back. Republicans. Later.